Okay, so today we're going to talk about how an inspector sees a hazard. Not what looks dangerous, how they actually evaluate it. Likelihood, expected injury, and the number of people affected. I spent several months, I think 7 months, training as an inspector at the mining academy for them. And this is essentially what I was taught and how I read into it. The process, an inspector doesn't walk up and say that looks dangerous. There's actually a process behind it, and there should be. What condition violated the standard? What event could happen because of that condition? How likely is the event? What injury would reasonably be expected from that event? How many people could be affected? Under MSHA, likelihood, expected injury, and persons affected make up most of the evaluation. Now, negligence, that's totally separate. It's evaluated separately. And here's one of the most important things to remember. Fatal doesn't automatically mean likely, and likely doesn't automatically mean fatal. Those are two separate questions. We're going to talk about the condition, and the inspector first tries to identify the condition. A missing guard, an unprotected edge, damaged electrical wiring, loose ground, a blocked travelway, or even a defective brake. What exactly is wrong? Where is it? Who's exposed? And what work is going on around it? Step 2 is going to be the event, and the inspector tries to identify that event, not the condition, the event. A guard is missing from a rotating part, whatever, belt, drill steel. The event isn't the guard missing. The event is the hand, the sleeve, the tool getting caught in that rotating piece of equipment. Working near an unprotected edge, the event is a trip, a loss of balance, a step back, a fall. Look at damaged wiring. The event is contact with an energized conductor. Is it going to be a shock and burn, or is it going to be fatal? Connect the violation to a realistic event, not the worst thing anyone can imagine. Step 3 is going to be likelihood. Under MSHA, these categories are no likelihood, unlikely, reasonably likely, highly likely, and occurred. Likelihood is based on exposure. How often is that task done? How long is the person exposed to that hazard? How close are they to the hazard? Do they have a long shovel? Do they have a short shovel? What do they have? Do they have to get into the danger zone to do the job? And they look at things like, is the equipment running? Is it energized? What's the lighting? They look at footing. Is it wet? Is it wet? Is it muddy? Is it icy? Is it cluttered? Is there a guard or barrier in place? How long has that condition existed? Is it existed hours, days, weeks? And what happens if normal work just continues? This is where the questions start, and they absolutely should. The inspector never assumes or invents. They're painting a picture, and that picture becomes their notes. And then the citation is built on those notes and facts. And once those questions start, man, they're three steps ahead of you. They are looking for tools in the work area, footprints, tire tracks. Is the guarding removed? Is there any sign of work that's really going on in that area? Whether this is the path miners actually travel, and they'll look at anything that helps them paint that picture. So we're going to talk about the same guard but different exposure, and let's use a conveyor or a pulley. The guard is missing, but the conveyor's shut down. It's locked out and it's barricaded. Nobody's going to work near that until the guard is back on. The injury producing event may be unlikely at that point. Now change the facts a little. The conveyor is running. The miners clean around the pulley several times a shift. They got short shovels. They don't have long ones. Within inches of the rotating equipment. No guard, no barrier, and production is still going on. Now, entanglement may be a reasonably likely thing to occur. It's the same missing guard, but it's different exposure. Step 4, you're going to look at the expected injury. After likelihood comes in. If the event happens, what injury would reasonably be expected here? Under MSHA, these look like no lost work days are restricted duty, permanently disabling, or fatal. Don't automatically grab the worst injury imaginable. The injury needs to fit the event. A hose across a flat walkway. If someone trips and falls, the expected injury might be a sprain or a fracture. Now, if you move that same hose onto an elevated walkway besides an open shaft, it's still a trip. But now the expected result may be fatal. The surrounding conditions matter. And likelihood is not severity. And this is why likelihood and severity stay separate. A condition can be unlikely but be fatal. A worker briefly exposed to an open shaft, the fall may be unlikely, but a fall hundreds of feet, death is the expected result. A condition can also be reasonably likely, but only cost lost workdays. A crew crossing an obstructed walkway all shift long. The trip is reasonably likely to occur, but the expected injury is only a sprain or a strain or a fracture. It's not death. You can't say it could kill somebody, so it must be reasonably likely. And let me read that again. You can't say it could kill somebody, so it must be reasonably likely. That's wrong. Likelihood asks, how likely is the event? Severity asks, how bad would the result reasonably be? So let's get into persons affected, and the inspector counts how many people could be affected by this. That's not automatically everyone on the shift. It's not everyone in the company. It's the number reasonably exposed to that specific event. One person on the machine at a time is probably one person affected. 5 people under loose ground, it may be 5 people affected. A personnel carrier with bad brakes, it's going to be the operator and the passengers, all of them. Base it on actual exposure. Let's talk about SNS. Now, this means significant and substantial. For an SNS, the inspector connects the violation to a specific hazard. That hazard has to be reasonably likely to cause injury. And the expected injury has to be reasonably serious. Reasonably likely plus lost work days or worse often will support an SNS. But they still need facts. What was the violation? What event could occur? Was it reasonably likely? And why the injury would be serious? And OSHA has its own variation. They think about things the same way, but the system is a little bit different. OSHA looks at the most serious, reasonably predictable injury. And OSHA weighs probability. So how many people are exposed, how often, how long, how close. It takes into account their training and the controls that are in place. Under OSHA, a violation can still be very serious even if the accident isn't highly likely, as long as serious harm or death could reasonably result. Probability then drives the gravity and the penalty. So what does that mean for us? We evaluate our own work before the inspector ever shows up on site. When you see a condition, you must ask, what exactly is wrong? Who is exposed? What event could happen? How often does the exposure happen? What injury could reasonably result from this? How many people could be affected? Is it 1? Is it 5? Is it 25? And what control prevents that event from happening? So for my own people, in our world, Harrison Western and UIT, we use a safe work plan. And this is why the safe work plan matters. A weak plan says things like watch for pinch points. A strong plan names the actual pinch point, how someone gets into that pinch point, and the control that keeps them out of that pinch point. A weak plan would say use fall protection. A strong plan names the elevation, the edge, the anchorage, the equipment, and exactly when you tie off. So today, on our sites, pick one hazard on the job. Find something. What's the condition? What event could happen? Is it unlikely, reasonably likely, or highly likely? What injury would reasonably result? How many people are exposed to that? And what controls have we put in place to prevent? The goal isn't to argue about the citations. It's to see the hazard before the inspector does and look at it through their eyes and correct it. And you must correct it before somebody gets hurt. When you find it, you take care of it. Likelihood tells us if the event is expected to happen. Severity tells us how bad the result would be. Persons affected tells us how many are in the line of fire. Put those all together, and you understand gravity. This is Scott Chest, Lead the Middle.